Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Logical Nonsense Podcast. Today we have Drew Roberts on the pod, Minnesota Golden Gophers wrestler in his. Are you a redshirt junior or senior now?
Junior.
Redshirt junior from there, wrestling at 149 pounds. Super excited to have him on. Me and Drew go way back, wrestling in the room in our underwear. It sounds a little weird, but when we were little kids, known each other for a long time, wrestling partners in high school. Drew, it's great to see you. How have you been?
Yeah, it's great to see you, Hunter. Thanks for having me on. It's going good. Just training and trying to get used to the fall weather that's getting colder here. So no more warm summer weather now.
Yeah, Minnesota. I'm sure that's got to be tough.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
let's
it's a big difference.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's have you introduce yourself to the listeners a little bit better than I just did.
Yeah, Drew Roberts, like Hunter said, I think you gave a pretty good introduction. Wrestled for the Gophers, wrestled with Hunter at Coeur d'Alene High School for a couple years, and grew up out in the West Coast in Oregon before I moved back up north a little bit to Coeur d'Alene, where my family's originally from.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's go back. You just talked about Coeur d'Alene, so we'll start there. Let's talk about your wrestling journey. All walk us through some of your high school, three different high schools, between Crescent Valley, University High, and then finishing it off with Coeur d'Alene. How tough was that transition of having three different schools?
Yeah, it was weird. So like you said, yeah, three different schools. I grew up in Corvallis, Oregon, where Oregon State University is. My dad was a college coach there for quite a while. So grew up there, rest since I can remember, and went to Crescent Valley my freshman year. And after my freshman year, my family made the decision to move back up to Coeur d'Alene, and that was a tough decision, but something uh, that like Mitchell and I and Dylan, kind of talked about, like, that'd be cool if if we wrestled and we're on the same team, and so it was cool to move back home to family. But yeah, my sophomore year, I went to University High School in Spokane, and then after that year, I just didn't enjoy it too much there, so transferred over to Coeur d'Alene and got to finish out my 2 years. But it was weird just having a new high school every year and kind of getting used to that. And then COVID was my the
Senior,
spring of
junior,
my
yeah, yeah, junior
junior
year.
year, and
Yeah,
then all of my senior year. So I feel like the whole high school, not even just outside of wrestling, the whole high school kind of timeline just was all mushed together.
totally, totally. Did that help grow you into your college experience at all? Like just having all that adversity around you constantly.
Yeah, I mean, I think you deal with so much adversity in wrestling that you kind of learn from it, but I guess a little different adversity in the sense of just
Outside
like,
outside noise and stuff.
yeah, just that's not in wrestling. So, you're always going to deal with stuff in your life as you grow older, and maybe more so when you get to college and you're living by yourself, and kind of dealt with that a little bit. Just going to different schools and meeting different people and all that sort of stuff. If you stay at one place, you kind of have your group, but kind of got to expand your circle a little bit, and settle down to new places and stuff. So yeah.
Totally, totally. Three different states. Rank the three states in terms of toughness for you.
Mm, that's a good question. Um, I think it depends a lot on the year and the
Totally,
weight.
totally.
I think Washington would be number one. Kind of going in the past, and then kind of just depending on the year, like Oregon, Idaho. I think they're it just depends. It's tough to say. They're all pretty close. I think Oregon or Idaho maybe catching up to Washington a little bit, but depth wise, Washington just has so many more people than Idaho, so they kind of get a couple more guys just because they have so many more people.
Yeah. The only year you didn't win state was in Washington. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
bring that up. I'm not trying to bring that up, but,
Yep.
um, yeah, definitely a tough state, so wanted to pick your brain on that. Going into your senior year, I watched you really dig into training, going into your body. What kind of motivated you to really take that step up in lifting weights in the off season and really bulking up and focusing on your body?
Yeah, I think a couple things. I mean, just one, like trying to be the best I can be. Um, and then two, kind of my sophomore and junior year, I felt like I mean, I had some sicknesses my sophomore year. I was pretty sick that whole year. I finally got healthy going into that spring. So I think that played a role in it too. Just trying to stay healthy and strong and so that you can perform at your best ability. And with wrestling, you can't really cut any corners,
Yeah.
with cutting weight and all that stuff. And if you can be strong, it's not the problem solver in wrestling, but it sure helps quite a bit.
Definitely. And so was bulking up was that something you were looking to do in your senior year, specifically just going into college, or was that something that you just focused on more so cuz you felt like it was time?
Yeah, I think all kind of people's their bodies like mature at different stages, and I was kind of a long lanky kid and could put some size and strength on. So when you're younger, it's definitely harder to do. So kind of around that time was when I kind of started maturing a little bit and was able to kind of lift heavier and put that weight on and strength.
Going to your decision to go to Minnesota, what made you choose Minnesota?
So it was a weird recruiting process with COVID. So I got to come out to Minnesota in the fall of my junior year, and then I went out to Fresno State too. And then COVID happened in like January. So, all the visits after that, there wasn't like any recruiting process, and there was no tournaments. And Minnesota reached out early in the process, and I just loved them from day one. They made me feel at home, and Luke Becker, he was my main recruiter, and I just connected with him right away. And then when I came on my visit, all the guys were super supportive and made you feel like a not just a team but a family.
Definitely. Definitely. And who were the other schools that you were that were looking into? I know you mentioned Fresno State, but was there anyone
Yeah,
else?
so Fresno State and then NC State was up there too, and then a bunch of other schools. But yeah, those were the only two schools that I got to visit, and it was kind of weird because I felt like that spring, I made a big jump. I placed at Fargo the year before my sophomore year, but that junior year going into my senior year, that whole summer or spring and summer is when I put on some strength, and I think I made that next jump from placing at Fargo to being higher up there on the podium. So it was kind of weird. I think it was weird for a lot of kids. They're trying to get looked at, and you couldn't get looked at. But yeah, Minnesota, saw my potential from day one, and started recruiting me. So that meant a lot too.
Definitely. Definitely. And you guys have long roots in Minnesota, correct?
Yeah, a little bit. My dad coached here in I think 04, 05 for a year, or maybe 2 years. So I lived here. I don't remember anything, but I
Yeah.
was running around in the wrestling room in my little maroon singlet. That's where one of the places I started wrestling was um I think it was Irondale. Or actually that was a high school my mom coached at. There was a kids club though, and Marty Morgan and then Rowan Morgan. Rowan, went to school here at Minnesota. He graduated last year. But yeah, we were running around as little kids.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's super dope. Um, one other thing with the recruitment process, what advice would you give to younger kids like trying to get noticed, trying to get recruited in the
Yeah.
wrestling world?
As far as getting noticed, I think, you got to put yourself out there and, compete and, um, just you got to compete. You got to show coaches you like to compete, and that you can compete well. You compete a lot, and you're just gonna keep getting better from that. Like you can't be afraid to like, and go to this tournament. Maybe you don't do good, or go to another tournament. You'll keep improving, but you gotta be willing to do that. And coaches like to see people compete. And then as far as once you get into the recruiting process, kind of just got to make a list of what you value, whether it's money, what you value in the team, the coaches, or location. For people on the West Coast for wrestling, it's getting
Limited,
harder and harder because
definitely,
there's not very many close options like um, you know Boise State and Idaho. That would be awesome to have a school in Idaho to have wrestling,
or
um,
even Washington.
or Washington too, or University of Oregon. Like
Yep,
those are all colleges that would be awesome to have wrestling. But yeah, there's just not a lot of options being out on the West Coast. So yeah, just kind of coming back to what you value and what you want in a program.
definitely. What did you value in Minnesota?
So I valued team. Team and family, I think location was kind of off the table. Although Minnesota's, God, it's got to be one of the closest schools, like maybe Wyoming and cut some of the Cali schools.
Yeah,
Um, but like we said, Idaho, Washington, Montana, no schools there. So yeah, just valuing team and the family, like not just being a team, and the coaching staff, having good coaches, that got my back, aren't fake and not there for you when you need them, and then teach you and raise you into good man and good person after college, setting yourself up for success after life, after wrestling for the rest of your life.
definitely, definitely. No, I love that, and I obviously know that about you too. Is that you look past just the wrestling and the caliber of that. So definitely a sport that is much bigger than what you show on the mat. So I appreciate that about you. Going to your senior year, obviously big injury. You wrestled through it. Talk about kind of the grind of that, the mental toughness of that, how hard it was, and just the journey of that.
Yeah, so I was feeling great. I was at Raleigh Lane, and I got in on a single leg and kind of drove up. My left leg posted out, and I felt it pop, and then I ended up finishing the match, and I came off the mat. My knee was buckling while I was walking off the mat, going to cool down, and that was the last match for the day. So I remember we went back to the hotel. I actually watched a Minnesota duel that night. We went and watched the duel, and my knee was kind of sore. I just figured it was bruised. We went for day two. We went down. I was trying to walk down the stairs, and I couldn't like put any weight on my knee, and so I was limping down. And I remember some of the guys like giving me crap, and then yeah, I tried to warm up with Gunner, and I just couldn't shoot or do anything. So I was like, all right, I'll just do some front headlock like stuff, and then went to go get it taped up, and they had a trainer over there, and he's like, oh well, I'll take a look at it, and then the trainer felt it, and they had a head doc there, and so he came over and he was like, yeah, we need him to take a look at it, and then the doctor was like, yeah, I think he tore his ACL. He told
It's fucking nuts.
told my uncle Jeff and Kelly, and I was like, no, no, it's fine. Just have him taped up. Like the doctors, they don't want any or the trainers, they don't want anything coming back. Like they're just being safe. But I'm like, I'm fine. Just tape it up. And then Jeff pulled me out of the tournament that day, and then got back to Coeur d'Alene. Yeah, the next day. Yeah, Sunday. Got it checked out on Monday, and yeah, they came back, fully tore it. So that was tough. I was like, frick. I'm like gonna be out for like 6 months, and I was excited just for the season and the spring stuff too. Like World Trials and all those Fargo and all those tournaments because everything had got canceled the year before. So yeah, it was tough. And then just got a brace, and um, I didn't really know how much I'd be able to do, because some people can, wrestle wrestle with it. Like we've seen some people like Spencer Lee wrestle with it, and some people can't, can't do anything. Like they can't even walk on it. So got a brace and yeah, just kind of did a bunch of bike workouts and drilling here and there after a couple weeks after some of the
Yeah.
swelling went down. And yeah, Tony Hook was my main partner, and they got me ready for state. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and was it hurting you at all during state at all?
No, it didn't really hurt, to be honest. You just can't do anything. Like you can't push like side to side. And the brace limits you, like so it helps you. But like if I didn't have the brace on, like I wouldn't my knee would, give out, like I would, fall. So you just can't move side to side and can't really drive forward. Just all those positions where normally you would be able to, drive, penetrate and do all that stuff. You can't do.
Yeah. Was it weird wrestling without that brace?
After
After,
or
yeah.
yeah, so I had to wear it for a long time. Just once I got that brace off, it was like the best day of my life. Like it was awesome because the brace kind of it limits you, like so if your knees like kind of right here instead of fully straightening.
Yeah.
So kind of don't have that like little pop that
Yep.
you would have. And so once I got out of that brace, it was awesome. Like I was so excited. But I had to wear it the whole my freshman year of college. I had to wear it for like that whole season. And so it was annoying because it makes your calf cramp up and just a pain to deal with.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Did it limit you, like, wrestling-wise at all?
Yeah, a little bit for sure. I think like just certain situations, and then your leg just feels heavier. You get used to it a little bit, but after I felt a lot better wrestling without it for sure.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, you mentioned your first year at Minnesota. What was that transition like going from high school wrestling to college wrestling? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's a big transition. Every guy's tough. Every guy, even if he's maybe not the best guy in the room, they don't give up stuff easily. They fight through all positions and just kind of wrestling through every position. So not stopping, and you got to learn to wrestle through every position and wrestle through to the next position, and get to two or three things before you finally get to something, or stop him if you're defensively. So it's a big difference for sure.
Is there a big step up in terms of, like, mental preparedness? Like, is there a different mindset you have to have, in a college practice versus high school?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably depends on the person. Personally, I think the mindset is, kind of always the same. Maybe in high school, maybe you gotta, easy partners, so maybe you're not as, focused on that day. And then college, it's like, all right, we're going live. You can't slouch around. You gotta be on your A game. But I think the biggest thing is just first couple months, like you just guys just if you're in a college room for 5 years, like you kind of learn to be tough. If you're a guy that's been maybe a backup, like kind of learn to be tough and wrestle through positions. And guys are just kind of tough and solid. So even if you're a good freshman, like um you know college guys don't give it up as easy as some
Yeah,
high school guys.
definitely. Definitely. Everyone in the room is solid and has
Yeah,
been the best at their high school, so I get that. I get that
and
for sure.
they've been through the same process. They were freshmen once, and they had to either get through it, or they weren't going to make it. So
Yeah. Was it tough, kinda just only being able to wrestle in, like, tournaments and stuff like that?
yeah, it's weird, because high school you're like, all right, we're competing in the duel, this tournament, that tournament, and then you kind of come to college, and when you're red shirt, and it's like, all right, you can go to this tournament and that tournament, and kind of not really with the team. So it's weird. I don't want to say it's necessarily tough. It's just kind of a different year than what you've kind of done your whole life.
Yeah. Were you glad you redshirted?
Yeah, yeah, especially with my knee. I really needed to need that year to kind of recover, and get my knee healthy, and then just learning a lot of stuff that I needed to learn. Getting off bottom in in college is big. You guys are tough on top, and that's definitely a learning adjustment. And then just all positions too, neutral and on top too. There's just so much you can improve on, coming from high school and getting better.
Fast forward a few years to last year, first season as a full time starter. What was that first season like for you? What was that grind like for you? Yeah, take me through it.
Yeah, it was is a learning experience for sure. It's been something I've been dreaming about. Goal of mine for since I was a little kid to step out on a college match. And it's going through a college season, especially in the Big Ten. Like you got a tough match,
Every week.
every week.
Yeah,
So um, there's no tech there's not many tech falls, or even if you are, like you still got to work for the tech fall. And it's a little bit easier now with the 3-point takedown,
definitely.
um than the near fall. That makes it easier, which is kind of crazy because like folk or freestyle, it's 10-point tech.
Yeah.
Even if you're got a good guy, like if you get a guy you can tech somebody, but folk style, it's not that easy. So like that, yeah, you just got a tough match every week. You got to make weight every week, and then you're on the road too, especially in the Big Ten season. We're traveling to say, somewhere out east, and then you might have another dual meet. You got to make sure the weight's down after you wrestle a duel, and come back and wrestle another one. So there's a lot of things I learned, just kind of getting through that. Like I think you just learn to, all right, this is how it is. And it's just tough, and you just kind of everybody does it, and yeah,
Well, yeah, no, I'm sure that fatigue is legit. I mean, like you said, like you're in the Big Tens, which is the best conference in wrestling. It straight up is the every school has good guys at every weight too, and so
yeah,
it's really tough to consistently, not that you weren't bringing your A game every match and not treating it, but to constantly, like you said, just work like you have
yeah.
to for every match,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Like,
just like you're never gonna feel you're not always gonna feel your best. Like even if you try, you do everything right. Like you might be banged up, you might not feel great. Maybe you didn't have a maybe you think you had a good weight cut, but you didn't. And you just feel off one day. And so you wrestle one match, and then just like, as the season goes on, stuff just happens. So maybe you feel good this match, and you felt like you were going to feel good this match, but you don't, but you just got to get through it. And then, as the season goes on, it's a lot to put your body through. So just staying healthy and trying to
yeah.
maximize how much you can, or how good you feel all the time is something that, nobody really has a great answer to. If you compete once every month, it's easy to kind of stay ready for that. But when you're competing multiple times a week, it's tough.
First season, what were some of the biggest learnings that you came away with that first season?
So my redshirt year,
No, 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 this
or
season, sorry.
last year,
Yeah, yeah, last year, sorry.
I think as far as wrestling like goes, like you got some of those environments, like you got a big match, and just managing, like, all right, I got a big match here, or maybe it's you're traveling away, and you're going to a different crowd. Like I remember being at Big Tens last year, and it was so loud I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah,
And you don't really get into those environments a ton, and so it's kind of hard to, you don't really have any simulation for that. And it's easy to kind of be in the match and um, lose your I guess thought, or get caught up in the motions, or stuff like that. So I think just managing yourself, and being able to stay calm, and collected, and stay focused at the same time is something that's big, in a lot of those matches, and at NCAAs too, super loud, or Carver Hawkeye Arena. It's crazy. Like I think you hear the stories like, oh, people psych themselves out, like big matches. Like there's been so many matches going back where, maybe a top guy, like he got upset or, all this stuff. And, it's just another arena.
It's a
Like,
real
yeah,
thing,
it's,
yeah.
you want to get excited for it. And I remember being really excited for it last year, and I was almost too excited. Like I
Yeah,
almost wasn't nervous in the sense of like, nervous, but I was almost like too excited where
yeah,
kind of got myself too amped up. So
yep,
you got to control those emotions and not be too excited, but you're ready enough. So just managing that stuff, I would say, is the biggest thing, biggest one of the biggest takeaways from last year.
definitely, I could see that for sure. I mean, some of those arenas and some of those fans are nuts, and I couldn't even imagine trying to figure out what your coach is yelling at you.
Yeah.
So, speaking of which, it's a great segue into the NCAAs. How was that first NCAAs experience for you?
Yeah, it was good. It was surreal, like, finally being at NCAs. Something I've been dreaming about for a long time. I didn't have the best results or an outing. Wrestled my buddy Chance Lamer since we were kids.
Yeah,
Best friends
first match, yeah,
since third grade. So we drew each other first round. So I was kind of fortunate to have to wrestle my buddy. But yeah, it was awesome, being out there, getting to wrestle, and then on the backside, Drew Kasich from Penn State, who ended up coming back for third, who wrestled before, but he got me that time. So yeah, it was awesome getting to wrestle there, and I'm looking forward to it this year. That different result. So yeah, it's just it's surreal. Like there's nothing like it. Like there's no competition like NCAs, and Big Tens is similar, but NCAs is just it's NCAs, and can't really describe it unless you're in that position or situation.
definitely. When you get to NCAAs, does it kind of feel like, I mean, obviously not the season's not lost, but does it kind of feel like you have this clean slate or this clean sheet of paper to just do you?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think everybody's good at NCAs, and anything can happen. I mean, you see it every year. Um, you know, every year there's upsets, and every year tough guys get beat, and you got to go through a bunch of tough guys and matchups and stuff. So yeah, I feel like when you get to NCAs, it's a fresh start, and you kind of just some guys got to get there and um, go from there. So yeah, for sure.
Definitely. I'm excited to see you light it up next year at
Yeah, yeah, it's
NCAAs.
gonna be
So,
awesome. Feeling
for
feeling
sure.
good and healthy. So
Good.
last year, the season's long, and it's not getting to that point. You gotta be on your A game there. Not to say that I wasn't, but there's just things that you learn through going through a season, and like adjustments here and there, and you're like, okay, I can make that for this and that, or you've been in this situation, and
Totally.
just like we were talking about earlier, not being too hyped up for any given situation.
Yeah. Just getting that experience under your belt, it sounds like too. Like just being through those situations, whether it's, the big crowd or, I've wrestled through this position before in this situation, I think that's something that I think was super valuable for you to have this year. So I'm
Yeah, for
excited for you
sure.
to just grow on that. What are some things that you have been working on or that you're hoping that you can improve on going into this next season?
I think just my offense and defense for my feet. I had a lot of close matches last year. That were a takedown or a position away that didn't go my way. Just changing those little things. It's not big things. It's little things, little situations. Getting to your ties. Inside tie, whatever it may be in wrestling. So for me, inside tie or wrist control, underhook, all that stuff, and just putting it together to give myself some more opportunities to score, on my feet, and then defensively wrestling through all those positions, and not giving up any attacks.
Definitely. Defensively, are we talking more so like head and hands defense? Or are we talking more so like scrambling ability?
Um,
A little bit
I'd
of
say
both.
probably, head and hands or just like these shot defense. I think I can scramble, pretty well, but yeah, probably head and hands for sure.
All right. Well, what is the coolest place you have ever wrestled at?
Coolest place. If we're talking just arena like Dumi,
Yeah,
Carver Hawkeye for sure. Rutgers is also, pretty cool environment. They're all chirping you. So that was a cool environment. But yeah, Carver Hawkeye at Iowa, for sure. And then the Big Tens and
NCAA.
NCAAs. I mean, that's their own. It doesn't really matter what arena that's in. It's gonna be cool wherever it's at.
Yeah,
But just a strict arena, Carver Hawkeye for sure.
totally. Where is it at this year? NCAA's.
NCAAs, I think it's in Philly this year.
Nice. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, Philly
That'll
will
be
be
fun.
cool.
Yeah. All right. What is your favorite memory that you've had so far through your college career of wrestling?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Favorite memory, college career. Oh yeah, I know this for sure. When Vance Von Bauer placed at the Nationals last year, we were all down on the ground rooting him on, and that was just a surreal and awesome moment to witness with all the guys and him coming off the mat, seeing him reach his, reach that, accomplishment was incredible.
That's super cool. That's super cool that a teammate placing is your favorite memory so far. Because he was like a high seed, right?
Yeah, I think 27 seed.
Crazy,
Yeah,
crazy,
27 seed.
crazy. That's why seeds don't matter. That's why
Yep, they
seeds
don't
don't
matter.
matter.
That's what he
So
said.
yeah, yeah. All right. What are your thoughts? And you can go in depth as much as you'd like. What are your thoughts on the NIL?
Oh boy. I mean, there's so much. I actually wrote my senior paper on this in high school before it was coming out, and it was against NIL, and especially being from wrestling, uh, it just it's not going to work out for college athletics, and you kind of see that happening right now. I know um, some new with the revenue share and how that's working out, but um, as far as wrestling goes, with programs, if they got to have money elsewhere, like wrestling is going to be one of the sports that's going to get cut. And like we saw at Campbell, I think they dropped their scholarships to 3, and something about not letting their athletes that are on scholarships like to leave or compete, so they'll leave so they can kind of get them off, which I don't know the legality behind that. um but yeah, it's just kind of creating like a college environment that I think like college athletics isn't what it used to be. And I think college athletics is something awesome. It's not supposed to be a pro league,
Yeah,
so it's kind of turning into like pro league and free market. Kind of like baseball. Who has the most money? Who's
yeah,
going to get these guys? And for all sports, football, like power, top schools, they're gonna be the best because they have the most money. Yeah, I just think it kind of ruins the aspect of college athletics of people going to college to compete and do school and get an education and then compete for an NCAA title. So yeah.
are you doing any NIL deals right now?
No, I haven't done any. Maybe a couple of small stuff here and there, but nothing crazy.
Is the market very big for wrestling at all right now in
Um,
that?
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's big. You see it kind of in the transfer portal, or like even these kids that aren't committed that it's like, oh, like, let's talk to you, and all right, we'll give you this or that, and you hear a lot of stuff about it. And there's no way to control it. There's no good solution that'll fix all that stuff. But yeah, and that's just like kind of like wrestling, like those smaller schools. It's hard to compete with other schools that have money. It can give kids money. So there's a market in wrestling for sure. More the top people, but it's there and not as much money as football. But I wouldn't say it's like I think football is more uh like say Arch Manning, for example, like
Yeah.
it's more actual like NIL stuff or like Livy Dunn or Dune,
Yeah.
like all her sponsorships. Whereas wrestling, it's just like, all right, here's a donor from this school, and it's like, all right, he will just give him some money or give that guy some money. So it's not the NIL. And when I think it was like kind of made like NIL was like you should be able to market yourself like Johnny Manziel, like if he's signing autographs, like
Yeah.
that sort of
You
stuff.
should be
And
able to get money, yeah.
yeah, which I agree with too, but then it kind of turns into, what it's not supposed to be is just who has the most money paying, who to come here and go there. So
Totally. No, it's very interesting because like you bring up a good point with like every sport being different. Like obviously wrestling, their market is much different, right? Like yes, there's a community in wrestling, but like is our sponsorships, are they gonna be attacking like wrestlers?
yeah.
Maybe, maybe it's nutrition, maybe like, you get a big name in there, somebody that's killing the game, like, Spencer Lee or,
Hmm.
whoever you want to put in there, like maybe they go after him, but like it's gonna be few and far between to your point. Whereas like a football player, like, you know, backup QBs are probably getting sponsorships right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's a good point you bring up. Let's go to your thoughts on the transfer portal.
I think it's I don't know if I should say ruining. I don't there's I guess regulations and then there's loopholes and stuff. But that with NIL I think is bad. Like the one example, there was the QB, like he held out or somewhere else
Yeah,
'cause
yeah, UNLV, is
yeah,
that what
yeah,
you're
because
talking
he
about? Yeah.
wasn't getting paid and, he's gonna go somewhere else and maybe that's some people, but um I think it's just making college athletics hard because college you got to recruit high school kids. So and especially in wrestling, like um so you say you start recruiting them as a junior and
Yeah.
then, so you're putting like 3 years really in this class. So recruit him as a junior, a senior, he gets there, maybe he redshirts and then he wrestles and then he goes somewhere else. And it's like you put this time and committed to this guy, and now he's like, "Oh, hey, peace. I'm gonna go somewhere else." And I think like big reason I chose Minnesota was like I felt like, you know, not only are the like, am I committed to the coaches, but the coaches are committed to me, right?
Yeah, and developing you and
And
making
develop
you
me and
better.
me,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so like, they're committed to me, and I don't want to like, you know,
Throw
say
shade. Yeah.
yeah, say I get good or say I get somebody gets good and then they're like or better and they're outperforming where they were, ranked. It's like, all right, they're giving me money, I'm gonna go here. So um yeah, I think it's, like I'm gonna be loyal to my team and my teammates and trying to build something here. I'm not trying to, go get the money or so I think it just kind of, ruins what college athletics, the culture it was, and just causes a lot of issues around there. Just and it's hard for coaches too. I'm not a huge fan of it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like a lot of players or people get into college and, see this in football, I feel like a lot. They don't start their first few years and they're like, all right, I'm out. Which is, interesting because it used to be like work harder, go earn your
Yep.
spot on the team. And so it's very interesting that the mindset has now shifted to, well, if I'm not gonna play here, I'm gonna go somewhere else
Yeah.
instead of just working harder. So
Yeah, and I mean, I think everybody should have a transfer because I think there's you should be able to transfer if you want, like maybe if school wasn't what it was or what you thought it would be, and you just didn't like it there. The whole portal and um the NIL on top of it's kind of creating a bad situation.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. It's definitely much different than it was just 5 years ago. So,
Yeah, because I mean, if you're like a 17, 18-year-old kid and you're making this decision, and you don't really know that much when you're 18 years old. We like to think that we do or we did,
yeah.
but you really don't. So the one-time transfer is good, for that situation.
Yeah. I mean, there's kids though, to your point though, that are like transferring 3, 4 times
Yeah,
before they
that's
graduate. So,
that's
that's
crazy.
just nuts, but all right, well, we have a little something here on this podcast called the Rapid Fire. It's usually rapid fire picks. It's where I make my predictions for the week. But for interviews, I do rapid fire questions. So it's just quick questions about you, just in general. So first one we got here is your go-to pre-match song.
Go-to pre-match song. Don't listen to music.
Don't listen to music. What's your what do you do before matches?
I just kind of yeah. I mean, warm up and then
Are you hopping around? Are you getting jump rope? What are we doing here?
yeah. Fast feet, stance in motion. After we kind of go through the
Shebang.
whole warm up on the mat when then you got to go back and then depending where we start in the dual meet, then some fast feet, stance in motion, a couple jumps, good to go.
I like it. I like it. Do you have a walkout song?
Yeah, it was 300 Violin Orchestra last year. You know
Okay.
that one?
I don't.
It's just like a a bass, like a beat. It's just a
Okay.
beat.
Are you
Yeah.
gonna change it this year, or are you keeping that?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what I'm gonna change it to, but I think I'm gonna change it this year.
Okay. Any early predictions on that?
Um, I got a couple people that are rooting for Ice Ice Baby,
Okay.
but
Okay.
we'll see.
Okay. What's your go-to after weigh-ins snack?
Usually some sort of rice, a little bit of fruit, a little bit of caffeine of some sort, some honey, and maybe some chicken or something.
Okay. What's your drink? Go-to drink after weigh-ins?
Usually just some salt, some water, and some salt packets.
Salt packets. Interesting. Why salt
Yeah.
packets?
Not like an actual salt packet, but like like elements.
Yeah.
Yeah, element.
Okay.
Half
Okay.
half an element. Can't do too much because then it's too much salt.
Okay. Interesting. All right. What is your I don't know if you drink this or not, but what is your favorite Gatorade flavor?
Gatorade Cool Blue.
Cool Blue. Speaking of which, we're sponsored. No, I'm just kidding. But okay. All right. Favorite wrestler growing up?
Favorite wrestler growing up? Whew, that's a kind of a tough one. There's so many. I don't know if I got one to be honest.
Really?
Just there's so many. Like I don't know if I can pick one. I loved watching David Taylor growing up
Yeah.
when he was in college. And then I mean JB's awesome to watch. He's always been awesome to watch. So
Is there one wrestler you'd say you like idolize your style off of the most?
I wouldn't say the most. Honestly, I say my style, I guess, would be most from my dad, probably.
Yeah.
Like just preaching, wrestling hard, wrestling, just being
Tough,
tough,
hard
tough.
hands.
Yep, heavy hands, tough. Never quit wrestling.
Totally. Totally. K Rob. Shout out to K Rob.
New movie
Um
coming out in
I know. I know. I've
February.
been seeing that.
Um, drawing a blank on the name.
Westbrook.
Westbrook. Yep.
Interesting. Interesting. Where do you know where it's out? Like where it's gonna be out on
I
platform?
don't know yet. I don't know. They did filming in August, so said 6 months from August roughly. So I think February is like the goal right now.
Oh
Got
yeah.
to put everything together.
Oh yeah. All right, brother. Well, thanks for hopping on the podcast. It's been a pleasure catching up with you, and I wish you the best this season. I know you're gonna kill, and I'll definitely be watching.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.